Welcome friends today once again to AI Club. And so far you might have seen so many videos and deep learning, machine learning videos both in Hindi and English on this channel. And couple of interviews also we have loaded of youngsters who are successful in their data analytics careers. So today once again we are going to meet one very bright chap called Argha Mukherjee, and his one video is already loaded on our channel, which you might have seen, some of you might have seen already. So I'm Shailendra Kadre, today your host, and in front of me is Mr. Argha Mukherjee. So we are going to have some talk today, and the topic of the today's talk is data analytics career roadmap for youngsters. Okay, so that is data analytics. So basically, we'll be discussing data analytics roadmap guide for you guys. And with this, I will hand over to Argha Mukherjee and request him to first introduce you himself and then take up us through whatever he has prepared today. Yeah, thanks a lot. All yours, Argha Mukherjee.
Thank you so much, Analyst, sir, for having me here. I have around 5 years of experience working with IT so far. I have started my career journey working with Amazon, where I was working in DevOps and AWS cloud services. After that, I was working with UST Global. It's a service-based company. I used to work on projects of Dell. There, my work was mostly into data engineering, Kafka, Big Data, Hadoop, and majorly in the tech stack. Right now, I have been working with CTS Tech Healthcare as a senior software developer in AI, and I have completed my master's in machine learning and AI from Liverpool John Lewis University. So today, through this discussion, we would like to cover the topics and the essential skills which are required to get into the job role of data analyst, business intelligence. And we would also try to understand what is the difference in the job aspect as well as the roles and responsibilities of all the segments. And along with that, we would go through some case studies which are commonly in the market, like those are live case studies. And we would try to understand how to solve those case studies, or basically how to approach those kind of statements. So I'll quickly share my screen. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we would be covering the roadmap as well as the step-by-step process of understanding and going through for preparation and all. So these are the topics which would also include some of the basic preparation resources as well as certification exam links, as well as which includes cloud, so far so forth. So the main important thing what we need to understand is there is a thin line of difference between analysis and analytics. When we talk in terms of job role, so we have business analyst or data analyst, as well as business analytics or data analytics. But the main application or the main approach what differs is the technology and the tools what we use. So what happens in analysis is basically driven towards technology, like we use Python, R for visualization and tech oriented concepts. But what happens in analytics is that is mostly used in terms of tool based, like for example, if you talk about visualization, we use Tableau, Power BI, SPSS, or different bunch of other tools like TensorBoard is there, and also and multiple others. So going to the roles and responsibilities of business analyst and data analyst, the main difference what lies here is that when we talk about business analyst, our main use case is to understand the business, like exactly what is needed and what kind of scenarios we face, and how do we convince the stakeholders that okay, this is if we apply this kind of mechanism, so what would be the roadmap and what would be the business perspective positiveness in that. In terms of data analysis, what happens is that we have the data. That data is usually segregated by different teams, and based on that we start positioning the data. Along with that, we transform the data and perform different bunch of applications and operations into that, which is needed for conclusion of the understanding. And then we try to represent that mostly in the statistical format using either Python or R or any other tools like SPSS, Tableau, and Power BI. So here the key objective what lies is that if we are talking about business analysts, so in that the main key factor is, if suppose there is a business problem statement, we have to understand the resources as well as the use case what gets tied to it, and accordingly try to create our narration through the data operations. Going to the requirements so far, so usually what happens in the job roles is that see, there are multiple similarities which keeps on occurring. So here I have listed a couple of requirements which are in the data science job role. And how data science and data analysis is relevant is that in data science what happens, that we have the data, that data is fetched from different places, and usually data fetching comes under the responsibilities of a data engineer. From there we fetch the data, we process the data using different kind of algorithms based on different data, like we might have data related to text, or we might have image data or video data. So whatever data is there, based on our data we formulate and we try to understand what algorithm will suit the use case, and accordingly we make the conclusion. So the common expectation while going through a data engineer and the data science perspective is that we have to integrate both the things, and for that SQL comes into picture. We have our Python, or R, most commonly Python, because it gives a lot of flexibility. And in Python we have some libraries which are very commonly used. One is NumPy, Panda, and for visualization we use Matplotlib, scikit-learn, Seaborn, SNS, and all, which I have mentioned here. And along with that there are machine learning concepts which are elementary, like in terms of linear regression, logistic regression, where we are trying to deal with one or maybe multiple variables. If suppose, for an example, if I'm trying to understand a job perspective, and this can also correlate to business intelligence. So for an example, say I am a person who is responsible for handling yes.
Yeah. Arga, so I am sorry I stopped you here in between. So I have a small question here for our fresher viewers who are freshers. So I think you told so many things here in between, and obviously our freshers have a lot of load from their college to study their own branch subjects and all that. So they cannot study each and every topic what you have told. So from a fresher's point of view, what bare minimum which they should start with and they should learn before coming out of college, so that they get a high package job?
Yeah. So see, when we compare all the requirements, right? If I talk about business intelligence, and also I'll quickly go to that screen where I have mentioned into the most required jobs. So if you see this part, this is basically a bigger umbrella where we categorize all the jobs and try to find out the common points which you just referred. So the main expectation for any this kind of job role is to understand the data. So for understanding the data, if the person wants to go towards a little bit of a non-technical role, maybe some kind of an analytical role, then Excel is a very important aspect. How to handle data with Excel, cleaning the data, pivot table, and all that. So basically Excel basic and advanced. Then after that there is one scripting language which is required. So to start with, it can be Python, and I would recommend going with Python because it has a huge flexibility and a larger market cap. After Python, when these two things are done, so then they need to understand the basics of SQL. So how to write a query and how to get the data, because in some companies they might be having a separate team of data engineer, but there might not be. So in that case they should bare minimum understand the requirement and fetch the data from a database. So that is important. And fourth thing is visualization. So if they are catering to these four things, like first is your Excel for analysis or Python for analysis, then SQL. Then third thing is your any visualization tool like Tableau. It is an easy tool, and there is Tableau public dashboard. A lot of YouTube tutorials are available. It is 3 to 6 hours of tutorial. That, I think that should be good to start with. Now the next step is that if someone wants to go into a little bit advanced level, so that is when cloud comes into picture, when they are doing all these things into cloud. So there are multiple
exactly, Arga. So even I wanted to emphasize cloud. So I would suggest all our freshers that before they come out of college, at least some kind of basic AWS certification or any other cloud certification, if they do, I think it will be very helpful to them. And these days AWS is the trend, so I would suggest you to do AWS if you are hesitating, like if you are confused which cloud to go for. So AWS is a trend, so better go for AWS. Yeah, Arga, thanks. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so in AWS also I have mentioned here the main important things what people have to learn. Like in AWS offers different categories of services, but learning each and every service will be very complicated. So there is a certification in AWS called as AWS Cloud Practitioner, which is the beginner level. And there are different Udemy courses available. I have mentioned all the links in the slide. And there are different, like I would say, YouTube channels as well, where they have mentioned all those kind of things that what to you to be given. So people can start with that, and if needed, there is an exam which they can give and accordingly get it certified. So the license is valid for 3 years. And apart from that, if someone wants to take it one step ahead, and someone who is from a technical background and wants to go into some project management where it is related to technical, so there Apache Spark comes into picture, where Apache stack, in that you have to understand Hadoop, Hive, and all these things which I mentioned at the last point over here. I'm not going into detail because it is a huge aspect to cover and probably not in the scope of this video.
So just I would like to add here what Argha has already told, so very nicely covered by Argha. So what I would like to add that big data, Hadoop, Hive, Kafka, and big data is altogether a different line. So before itself, you have to choose whether you want to go in machine learning or you want to go in big data. So accordingly, whatever skill you need will change. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, all yours.
Yeah. So the big data is just an addition. So to start with, they can go with this, take the cloud, and then accordingly see how the learning curve and the understanding is, and then build on top of it. So now going on to the case studies. So whenever we apply for jobs, right, in through LinkedIn or Naukri or different bunch of other job hunting sites. So usually what happens is that when we go into the interview round, the first elementary thing is the resume. So when we are creating our resume and the portfolio, it's very important to make note of whatever we have done, whatever we have learned. Like, make things into clear points, that okay, if I know cloud, in cloud what I know, if I know big data, in big data what I know. Because most of the times what happens, the resume gets filtered through ATS. ATS is application tracking system, which is the online portal. So now when we apply, after our resume gets filtered, that is when it goes to the HR, and then it goes to the manager, technical manager, and we get the interview calls. First step is to make all those things into the resume. Now second thing is when we get a job interview call. So usually what happens in the tech interviews, we get calls, and there we are given with a kind of a case study. So they will throw a problem statement at us, and they will tell that okay, you have to give us an approach, that how will you start, what would be your mindset, and what would be your complete approach. Based on that, what conclusions can we expect. So here I am covering a couple of case studies. Yeah.
Argha, before you get into case studies, I want to add a couple of things in preparing resume. So there are a lot of resume building templates which are available on internet which you can use. Right. And first of all, I would like to tell that don't use the 2-column resume, because your ATS, which Argha told, they have problems scanning two-column resume, which is like newspaper. Na? So don't do that. So just put one single line in a single page, A4 size page, put a single line, 1.15 space separated. And don't make your resume more than 2 pages. And last thing I would like to add here is that whatever you add in your resume, make sure you know about that. You have worked about that, you know about that. It creates very bad impression when you write a lot of things, and if interviewer is asking you many things and you are not able to answer them. So please ensure that whatever you know, that only you write in the resume, and don't make your resume more than 2 pages. Yeah, all yours.
Right, absolutely. I totally buy the second point, because when you write unnecessary details in your resume, so first of all, it gets boring, and whenever an interviewer is going through a resume, maximum time what they spend is 10 to 20 seconds. So things will get out of skip, and it does not really help. So that is a very valid point. Yes.
Thanks, Argha.
So coming to the case studies now. So these are the case studies which I have pulled up from the official website of Deloitte, which are being asked in the interview, and they are still working on that. So one case study is that predicting the possibility of a certain age. Based on that, we calculate the performance and all. So Deloitte has developed a product called as Age of AI. I have mentioned the YouTube link over here, and the resource of the analytics as well is mentioned here. So they are trying to build a case study. So this is one similar example where we can use prediction and predictive analysis to understand and gauge the timelines of any specific outcome. Like for an example, here is the performance. Going to that in a little detail. So what happens here is that we try to understand what kind of techniques are performed, what kind of breakdowns are taken into consideration. And when you talk about business, the most important thing is how many millions you are saving in the cost. And that is probably the most important thing which any interviewer or any project management is looking forward to. So if you are someone who is trying to understand and get into the job role of similar domains, so this is what comes into play and is one of the key essentials. Right. Now here there is one more case study which I have highlighted here. So it is basically the customer service analysis. So what happens is that a lot of companies, including I would say food delivery services or maybe banking services, we have customer support, chat assistant and all into place, right? So whenever we try to reach through IVR and all, there is a certain time which we have to wait and spend, and probably that is something which we do not expect as a customer. So here there is a case study in which we were trying to identify that how to detect and resolve the problem what is coming to the customer care, and based on that what is the time consumption, the average time consumption and all, and try to understand the root cause. So if suppose there is an issue which is occurring in 10 different cases, and we see that okay, this is one issue probably is affecting 10 different customers, so then understanding the root cause will not only help to solve what exactly is the problem, along with that it will also help to understand okay how to mitigate that in the next steps. So this is again from Deloitte, and I have mentioned the link over here. Yeah.
Here I want to, like, especially from freshers point of view or the guys who are not having more than 1 or 2 years of experience, I would like to add one thing. That as Argha has told, like, as he's telling that thoroughly prepare a couple of case studies, and with the code, either load them on Kaggle or load them on GitHub. So try to make your own portfolio out of your whatever problems you have solved. And if you want to know, you want to get data sets, for data sets, Kaggle.com is the best source which I know of. And there are many other sources available online, but most of the time, if you go to Kaggle.com and source data set from there, you will get hundreds of data sets on which you can work. Work on those data sets, follow good code practices, and load everything on GitHub or Kaggle.com itself to make your own portfolio, so that you can show it to your prospective employer. So, Argha, what is your take on this?
Yeah, I totally agree on that. So just one more resource link what I would like to mention, which I commonly use, that is Papers with Code. So in that what happens when you write anything, suppose someone is targeting towards, and why I'm saying this is because suppose I am a student or maybe I am a working professional and I am trying to target a different category of company, maybe finance or maybe retail. So then in that we can search with finance or retail. I'll probably show that towards the end of the session. So in that what happens, you can search with finance and that keywords, and they will pop up all the case studies or all the work which is going on, and there also you can get code, you can get your data set from there. And as you mentioned that we should use that and put it in the Git, and the most important thing is to put that in your resume as a side project or an individual project, because that is how an interviewer would know that okay, I have not only learned but also have got some theoretical as well as practical experience into that.
Yeah, and apart from that, I would like to add one more thing. Like, you should take something called LinkedIn. If you I think all of you are aware about LinkedIn. So it is something which you should take very seriously. One thing, like, there are many online platforms like towardsdatascience.com or medium.com which shell out very nice articles on internet. For some are for free, some are for little payment you have to do. So, but these articles are very great tools to increase and enhance your knowledge. Do a practice. Once you read any article completely, don't just like that. Don't leave just like that. That article, take the link of that article and share on your LinkedIn for your other followers to read it. Suppose some recruiters are looking at that, so it creates your brand image as a data scientist. So whenever you complete one article, just share its link in the form of post on LinkedIn, so that others can read it, and it helps to bring your own brand. Yeah.
Right.
Argha, do you agree with this?
Yes, definitely. This helps a lot. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. So jumping on to the next case study here. So, like, there are basically different varieties of case studies. So, probably I will not take into one every case study here. Like, just mention the categories. So, one category is into telecom, where there usually the problem statement is that whenever we try to understand and like try to analyze, like, I was in a discussion with one of the person, and that person was from Airtel. So he was solving a case study, and he asked me, just when I met him over LinkedIn, he asked me, okay, Arga, just what do you think that we are going wrong? Because right now we see that geo market cap is going up. We also have good plans. We also have good network. So how do you approach? What is your thought process around it? So these kind of real problems is something which you need to understand, that okay, if an industry is facing these kind of problems, then how to solve that, or what should be the approach. Like one another example is insurance, right? So what happens is that a lot of insurance claims get rejected. It can be a vehicle insurance or life insurance or whatever. So what kind of problem statements are getting rejected? Why claims are not getting settled? If suppose they are trying to impact any specific category of audience, then what is the use case? How to solve that? So in short, whenever you're trying to prepare for any interview, or whenever you're trying to get into any job role in any stage of the career, so it is very important to understand what real problem is and try to work towards it. And as Shailendra sir mentioned, so you can try to pull up one or two problem statements from Kaggle or papers with code and make a POC, proof of concept. You don't have to make an end-to-end solution where you're making a software. That is not required. Make a small approach. That is important.
And make a POC and edit on GitHub. So
Right.
to make up your own portfolio. So you should have a portfolio of around 10 to 12 such problem that you have solved on your own. And you should know A to Z about those problems. If any recruiter asks you any question about those problems, you should be able to answer.
Right.
Don't copy from somewhere and then do it. It creates very, very bad impression.
Right. That is absolutely true. Yes. So now coming to one more aspect. So what happens in the interview is that whenever you are going towards the senior manager round or the senior recruitment rounds and all, so usually they try to understand how is your past experiences through your learning and your job, and how will you fit in their kind of requirement. Like if suppose it's a service based company, so they have a specific set of clients. They would try to understand that how you behave or how you approach based on whatever scenarios you come across, and that can be multiple, like leaderships and different. So I'll just cover a couple of them. So one scenario can be like an ethical scenario, where you are given a specific situation, and again this is more towards a situation based, where they try to understand what kind of ethics you abide and what kind of principles you take into consideration when you're trying to answer those questions, right? Then one scenario is that work life balance. So usually what happens when we are working from India or different time zone, so our client might or might not be aligning to same client zone. They can work from a different client zone and time zone, and from there it might be that the meetings are hosted only in the evenings or maybe late nights, right? So then how will you manage your time? How will you optimize? Or maybe if you're someone who is responsible for handling a team, so how will you optimize the entire time of the team and maintain a balance? These kind of scenarios are something which is very important. One more is like when suppose there is a, I would say, dispute in the opinion. So in your peer to peer, if you are given a problem statement and suppose there is a person who tries to give an approach and you are having a different approach and both contradicts to each other, so then how would you solve those kind of scenarios? What should be your approach? How will you maintain peace? Because usually solving contradicts, what happens is that you get into a verbal argument and things can get heated up. So how will you resolve those kind of scenarios?
So here, just like I would like to add just one point to whatever our guys already told. So any such scenario which demands for conflict resolution, or any conflict happens or anything bad happens, so only one formula is there for that. Try to become a good human being. Whatever your mother, father, or your teachers have taught so far, try to be a ethical and good human being in every situation in your job. So that will help you to resolve almost any situation in the job. So try to become a good human being with your fellow colleagues, and with anybody else. Try to be a good human being first.
Right, because the main best advantage is that if you try to be that way, so you would understand what the person is bringing to the table and what is his mindset or her mindset and why the person is giving that approach. So that is when you would understand and probably things might differ based on that opinion.
Yeah, if you try to think from his point of view or her point of view, who is fighting with you, and try to understand her viewpoint and just mold your opinion according to that, I think things will get resolved very easily and will create very nice impression of you, and people will think great about your people skills. So it will help you a lot.
Right, right. Yeah. So again, this is very similar to the conflicts. So going to the next aspect is the leadership. So the main important aspect of leadership is how do you own a problem. Like if suppose there are 10 different things and probably everyone is occupied in something or the other. So you might be someone who has to take up the leadership and own the problem statement that okay, this is what you are taking as a responsibility to solve. So that is a very important aspect, and that is what is looked after in any kind of interview or any kind of business requirement, that how do you own that problem statement and try to solve it at the first place, right? So now going ahead, yeah, yes,
Yeah, so just one more thing, like many times you might have heard that attitude is everything. Everything is your attitude. And in every interview or any job situation, even after when you are in job, your attitude counts a lot, and your bosses or interviewer, everybody is trying to gauge your attitude. What kind of attitude you are showing towards your fellow colleagues or towards the job, or your senior, what kind of attitude you have. So that makes you eligible for promotion, or that makes you clear any interview. So that's what is very important in any interview, or all the time in job. Yeah.
right, right. So now coming to the resources part, so here I have mentioned a couple of things, like from where, like whatever I have covered so far, how to study those things step by step, and what kind of exams are followed. So I'll just quickly go through them. So these are few of the channels which are listed, and from YouTube most of them are free materials, so you can go through these where you would learn Python. So in the first link I have mentioned the playlist and the link of the YouTube channel from where you can go through to learn Python. You can go through big data, then SQL. So SQL tutorials are available for free, big data Hadoop tutorials are available for free, and even this channel where we are hosting this video, from here also you can cover the topics which takes into basic level from into including machine learning, including Python, and also you can refer here, everything is in Hindi, you can go through that as well.
Yeah, AI Club can be good source for most of the professional. Like even many machine learning videos are given in Hindi if you are interested in that.
Right, right. Now coming to some more resources, so these are basically addition. So one more thing I just like to add on a high level way is that there is something called as pipeline. So what pipeline means is that when you are having data and data is at different stages, so you are probably transforming the data, then loading to something else, then again transforming, then loading to something else. So when you configure or create something like this is called as pipeline. And data pipeline is one of the very important aspect if someone is focusing towards business intelligence or business analytics in the later stage, not for fresher, but if someone who has say 1 or 2 years of experience or 3 years experience and want to step up the ladder and get into the higher hierarchy. So in that case this is very important, and if you are curious to understand what is data warehouse, what is database, what kind of pipelines we use, so I have mentioned all the links over here which you can refer
Yeah,
to.
just one thing here, like as Argha is mentioning, they are very valuable resources given in a video. So we would suggest that when this video is on, you stop the video for a moment and note down all these resources for on your notepad or somewhere. So even if you just put ITK Funday in the YouTube search, I think automatically you will be taken to that source. You need not even note down the link.
Yeah, the name of the playlist or the video I have already mentioned, so they can search
Yeah,
from
so that itself is enough to take you to that the point where our guys pointing to.
right. Yes. So now coming to the exam, so there are three different clouds which are widely used. One is AWS, second is Microsoft, and third is Google Cloud. So to start with, I would also recommend going with cloud, because in cloud what happens is that you would learn a lot of things and you go through a lot of sequences and all. So here simply learn, I have posted a video which gives a 5-minute snapshot of the entire cloud picture, what is happening. Then there is an exam called as AWS Cloud Certified Practitioner, which you can go through and give the exam. So I'll take you to the certification link also. This is from official Amazon website. So if you just go to aws.amazon.com, go to certification and search for certified cloud practitioner, that is the basic level. Once the basic level is done, or if you are already there at the basic level and if you want to scale up to the next step, then data analytics specialty, machine learning specialty, solution architect professional is there. So if suppose someone who is watching the video probably has a certain years of experience, maybe more than 5 years or 10 years, so for that person, solution architect professional might be a very helpful exam according to that, right? Similarly, going to Azure, so in Azure also there is AZ 900, and that is Azure fundamental certification. It is the elementary level of certification. You can go through any tutorial and search for the same exam and give the exam accordingly. Prepare through Edureka, Intellipath, Simply Learn. There are different channels where you can get interview questions, or in Udemy also you can get a multiple courses where you can go to that course and practice the question. So there are multiple practice sessions also which are organized. You can take a part of that. And very similar to that is the link. So if you go to Microsoft official website, search with the name of Microsoft Azure fundamental certification AZ 900, you would get. And in that also they have multiple advanced level exams and certifications, right? So now going to Google Cloud Platform. So mostly in Google, the basic thing is that Google Cloud Platform essentials. So in here also I have mentioned links like Edureka and different other channels where they have created pipelines and solved multiple things. So this is one very, I would say, one very powerful platform which you can refer to, and you can enhance your upskillment and enhance your knowledge according to that, right? So here the certification which is called as the Cloud Digital Leader, and it is again simple from the cloud website. So directly go to Google Cloud and search for Cloud Digital Leader and see the exam timelines and all, right? So this is all. Just one point before wrapping up I would like to add on. So now I have seen, as a couple of friends of mine are working with different companies and I interact with them on a regular basis. So recently I was discussing with one of my schoolmate, and he is working with Microsoft as a like in an internship. So he was working on a problem statement where people are trying to create chatbot, and if you see in Amazon also, so there is a problem statement called as Amazon Lex, Lex. So there what they are doing, that they are trying to feed the data in a text format, video format, whatever, and based on that they are trying to create automated chatbot. So there is a lot of revolution which is going on. So if you are someone who is trying to target any specific organization or specific domain, try to find out the latest work what they are doing in, and then try to make a POC around it, a proof of concept around that project.
Yeah, so Arga, thanks for adding great resources and for giving great tips to our freshers as well as professionals. So all the time when you were speaking, in my mind constantly I was thinking about freshers, because these are the persons who usually have most struggle in getting their first job. Once they get first job, I think things might be easier later on.
Right.
But I would like you to ask, list top 3 advice from your side, because you have been a fresher not very long back, around 4-5 years back. So from a fresher's angle, list top 3 points which are important for a fresher to get into a nice job, high-paying job.
Okay, so the main core important thing is whichever job role they are targeting, it's very important to understand the roles and responsibilities. And to understand that, the best possible way is go to LinkedIn, go to Naukri and different other sites and search for those designation what they're aiming, and then see what job roles, what is the description there. Then connect with people over LinkedIn and understand that exactly what they're doing in their work. Because unless you understand what responsibilities they're playing, you would never be able to understand what you are lacking, or what is your strong point there, what is your strength there. So that is first thing, that interact with people and understand what job role they're playing. Like today I work as a senior software developer in AI, so I have a set of responsibilities which I follow every day. I have a set of things which I do in my day-to-day work, right? So similarly, if I am someone who is suppose working in computer vision or maybe as a business analyst, there will be set of things which I would have taken into consideration and work on that kind of job role, or maybe different problem statement. So what is that which I'm working on? First thing is that. Second thing is, like whenever we are putting things in the resume, like if suppose I write Python, right, and if I mention that in Python I know this and this library, so it's important to practice that. And for practicing, there are different sites. Like one site can be, I would say, Geek for Geeks, which is very common, where interview questions are asked from. Then there is a site called as Hacker Rank or Lead Code. So in that we can directly log into the site and cover and understand okay exactly what is going on, and practice more and more problem statements. It has easy, medium and hard level, so that helps a lot. Then third thing is that whenever you are trying to make a job transition, so it is very important to understand the hierarchy. By hierarchy I mean, suppose if you are getting out of college and you're stepping into the job role for the first time, so make a roadmap that till 5 years what would be the graph. So if suppose you are trying to get into data science, so in data science getting into as a fresher, and then 5 years down the line what would be your path, because unless you have the path in mind, you would never be able to work. I have seen many people who are getting into job at one thing, and then they're trying to make a transition towards another job, and they don't know what is the next sequence of hierarchy there. So understanding the hierarchy is very important. Understand the hierarchy, go to Glassdoor, visit and see what pay scale is given to those kind of job roles. If you are someone, say, who is working in business analyst, right, for the beginning, or maybe starting to work as a business analyst, so whatever is your CTC, based on that, what would be your next job role? Then what would be the CTC for that 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line? So that gives you a very clear picture, and that is what I have done in my career so far. So whenever I start working into this, I try to understand what is the possibility, and that is one of the reason why I chose machine learning and AI.
Yeah, thanks, Argha, for great tips to our freshers and relatively new entrants to our job. So before we end, I would like to add one thing. Like friends, education is very important. And if you get a chance to do some kind of post graduation in the area in which you want to go, like data science, you want to go, whether you want to go in cloud or you want to go in any area, IT area or any other area where you want to go, if you get a chance to do some kind of post graduation where hands-on is more, not only the theory, where hands-on is more. So definitely get into that. Okay, that is one thing. And if you want to learn any topic first time, for that I think Udemy.com. Udemy.com is very nice website on which you can get great courses for as low as 100 rupees 500 or even less. So sometimes you may find that the prices are high, but you can just wait for a couple of days or say more 10-15 days more. It will definitely come down below 500 or 600 rupees. You can get a great course for but remember udemy.com is more for beginners. So once you start with that course, you have to go with more advanced things, do either post graduation or you have to read some books. Definitely you have to read something out of that, and practice. Hands-on is most important. Just if you keep reading, nothing is going to happen. Hands-on is most important. Skill is most important. Right. So that's what is my advice to all the freshers and our relative youngsters. So with that, I think I would like ask Argha to end with a final advice. And after that, we'll end that.
Before wrapping up, I would just like to show the website which I was referring to, Papers with Code. What exactly happens there and how to search
Please
into
go
that.
ahead. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So see, this is the website which I was referring to. It is paperswithcode.com, and if you see the search part, I'll just zoom out. Yeah. So now if you are someone who is targeting, or maybe you are trying to get a hands-on to the problem statement in finance, so just search with finance here. That's it. Now here you would see there are a lot of problem statements what they are working on. Okay. Now if you are someone who wants to work with healthcare, so search with healthcare. Okay. So now when you go to healthcare, you see that, okay, what are the problem statements going on, what kind of transformation people are doing and all. And then if you want to analyze, go ahead. Suppose here it is mentioned there as predictive healthcare. So if I go to the site, what happens here? Here you would get a description of the site, where description of the project, where they have mentioned whatever they're trying to do. Along with that, at the bottom they have mentioned the data set and the task and the code also. So if you open this part, you can go to the code part where they have given all the code here, so you can refer and understand what they are doing. And along with that, here they have research papers. So if you click on any of those sites here, any of those links here, you would see that the research papers will pop up. So this will not only help you to work on the present problem statement, but also help you to understand what problems people were trying to address in the past. And that is the reason I'm referring to this page, because when you go to the previous methods and all, even if you don't understand every word, that is okay, because you have to understand what is the problem. And that is when you will be able to create a POC. Right. One more site I will just show you here, that is Geek for Geeks. So this is one very important site. It has interview preparations and all. So you can go, you can probably go to the courses and all from here as well. And if you are someone who is trying to learn any specific topic, suppose Python, so go to Python. Then if you see here, okay, what is Python? Maybe Python 3 basics, right? So you have the content here, description here, and then you can practice also from this part. So here they have pseudo codes mentioned. You can try out and all. One is this site, papers with code. Second is Geek for Geeks. Then the site which I was referring to, one more site very useful is W3 Schools. So just go to W3 Schools here. So here also you can practice, and it has an online editor where you don't have to download anything. Just go to that site, visit, practice.
It's a great site for HTML, right?
Yeah, HTML, Python, SQL as well. So here also there are tutorials. So if you expand that, it will go to NumPy, Pandas and all here.
My son learns all his HTML from this site.
Yeah, this is a great site. I have like used this in college and all. This is a amazing helpful site. And the best part is that you can practice here directly. So here they have an online editor. You can submit your answer as quizzes also, and even there is an option to try it out. You can go to that and write your code and execute.
An equally good site is that leadcode.com, L-E-E-T, what is the spelling? L-E-E-T, leadcode.com, right?
Yeah, LeetCode, I am showing
LeetCode,
that.
so yeah, it's a very popular site these days.
Yeah, so LeetCode also you can sign up and then practice if you are someone
it's all free.
Yeah, it's all free, and premium services gives you the interview level questions, like if suppose Amazon or Google, what kind of interviews are asked. So one is LeetCode, and very parallel to that there is HackerRank. So this is also one similar site where you can sign up and start working. I'll just show the editor. I think I have already logged in. My login should be there. Just a second. So like I used to solve, and that was a couple of months and years ago. But if suppose you are planning to explore, so you can suppose go to practice. There are tutorials available. You can study, or you can just go to continue preparation. And then there will be a problem statement which you will come across, and on that, suppose if I'm taking this, okay, that compare triplets or maybe find a big sum, whatever, I don't know what the problem statement is, so I can directly load that. Here there will be a problem statement, here there will be output, you can see those, and you can write your code here and you can run. As simple as that. Or you can upload a coding file also here. You can directly go to that folder and upload from your laptop as well. If you're not comfortable coding here at this part, you can directly upload a file from the laptop. And if you're someone who is supposed done and you want to see what kind of solutions are there, so those are also available. If you go here to the submissions, you would see that whatever submission is there, you can unlock and see, okay, this is the output and this is the solution what people have submitted already. You can select a language if suppose you want to see with Python. So search with Python. So here they have mentioned the solution as well. So those things are available. You can go to discussions, see solution is there, leadership board is there, where they will give you the ranking, that rank 1 of this person has ranked 1 in this problem statement. So what was his approach or her approach. You can participate in discussions. So these sites are very useful to understand. If suppose you are facing any problem, you can put it here and people are there to resolve those issues as well.
Yeah, these days both site LeetCode and HackerRank are very popular.
Right.
Among developer and interview job seekers.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So is it the end of our thing, or you want to add anything else?
I guess no, we are good, because a lot of things we have mentioned, and probably if we add more things, it will take
a lot of time. I think this should be enough for enough tips.
Yeah. And so if you have any questions, you can reach out to me over LinkedIn, any one of you. If you have, I am mostly active on LinkedIn as well. Yeah.
Sure. So thanks, Argha Mukherjee, for your time today. A lot of nice tips that you have given to our freshers and job seekers. And this is Shailendra Kadre, your host today from the AI Club. And we'll keep adding such more such informative videos to our channel. So you can subscribe to our channel. Thanks once again, Argha Mukherjee. Thanks for your time, and thanks viewers for your time. Hope you found it useful. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.